Mark Feinsand covers the Yankees for the Daily News. Mark, welcome. How are you?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
All right. What'd you think?
Well, I think they overpaid in years. I think they overpaid in salary. But I like it for the next. But I like it for the next 3-4 years. I think it makes them a better team. And when you're the Yankees, and when you have the money you have, and we all know how much money they have, the back end of the contract, that's something to deal with later on. I think right now they look at it as they needed to make some moves. You know, the Cano thing is obviously hanging out there over everybody's head right now. But I think they looked at it and said this makes them better. And right now, coming off a season where they missed the playoffs, just like they did after 2008, whatever they think makes them better for the immediate future, that's what they're looking at.
How do you value him at that price, though? I mean, he's getting more money than Miguel Cabrera.
You know, Cabrera signed his deal 6 years ago. He's a free agent in 2 years.
My point is he's still living on that same deal, though.
Sure. Well, yeah. Cabrera's going to make a lot more money than that in 2 years. He'll be up. He'll be the guy to challenge that A-Rod contract.
Well, my point is, here's a guy who's never hit more than 9 homers in any other year. I mean, and he barely is a 300. He's not even a lifetime 300 hitter. A nice player, but that is an amazing contract. I figured it's $50 million more than I thought he would get.
It's another testament to what Scott Boras does and why he is what he is in this business. He found a bunch of teams that wanted the guy and got the bidding war going and got teams up there. Look, the outfield
Who
market.
are the Yankees bidding against? You have any idea?
Well, I know Texas was in on him. I know Detroit was talking about him. I know Boston was looking at talking about 5 years and about 100. So they were looking at about $20 million a year for him. They weren't going to go 7, which is what it would have taken. And I'm sure Boras looked at the Carl Crawford contract, used that as a baseline, and said this guy's had more success in a big market, won 2 World Series, et cetera, and is the same, if not a better type of player. And I didn't think Boras was going to settle for 1 penny less than Carl Crawford got. And as many times as we'd say, well, there's no way he's going to get that, how many times have we said that about a Boras guy and then seen Prince Fielder get $200 million?
All right, now, if you're Cano and you're his representation, and you clearly want to be a Yankee, we all know that, okay? We all know Cano's heart is to be a Yankee, but they're going to try and still maximize this. I mean, he's got to consider himself to be worth, let's use 7 years as the baseline. His contract's got to be substantially more than $153 million. He's a lot better player.
He's a lot better player, and on paper you would say, well, if Ellsbury's worth 153, then Cano's worth 200,
yeah,
215,
at
220,
least
whatever it may be.
At least 200.
The big question is there another team out there that's going to give him 200 that he will go to? I agree with you. I'll believe the Seattle Mariners.
I can't see Robinson.
When I see
knowing Robinson Cano's lifestyle a little bit, I can't see him living in Seattle.
Robinson Cano did not leave Scott Boras for Jay-Z to build a global brand and do everything that he's hoping to accomplish to go to Seattle. There's not endorsement dollars in Seattle the way there are in New York. There's not. If the Mariners are
there's not Manhattan in Seattle.
Exactly. I like Seattle. It's got some nice places to eat, but it's not Manhattan.
Right.
If Cano is looking at $25 million, let's say the Yankees are at 175 and the Mariners are at 200. First of all, you can make up that $25 million in endorsements in New York easily and get to be a Yankee and get to play in Yankee Stadium and do the whole thing. I just don't believe that the Mariners are where he's going to land. And the problem is for him, where there were a lot of big market teams like the Rangers, like the Tigers, like the Red Sox in the mix for Ellsbury, none of them are in the mix for Cano. It's a simple matter of supply and demand. Right now, the big teams with big money aren't in on Robinson Cano. So it's the Yankees, maybe it's the Mariners. Tell me who else is giving him $200 million. The Yankees learned 6 years ago with A-Rod, do not bid against yourselves. There's no reason to bid up, offer him 200, 225, 250 if nobody else is, and I think that's why they're taking this hardline stance with him.
All right. Where do you think the Yankees will let him walk? At what number?
I don't think they're going to go to 200. Everybody I've spoken to has said we are not giving this guy 200. People in other teams, other areas of the industry have said they're not going to 200 from what they understand. They seem adamant about it because I think what you and I believe, that he's not going to go play in Seattle, they believe that too.
So what is it? What is do you know what the Yankee offer is?
Right now it's 7 years, somewhere between 165 and 170. My guess is they'd be willing to go to 175. If they could go to 180 and get it done, my guess is they would do it. But I don't think they're going to go much higher than that because I don't think they believe that they need to in order to get him back.
All right, if the Yankees are still willing to go 180 on Cano, and I would agree they probably are, and they still are just waiting for the posting rules to come in on Tanaka, which are going to change, but they're not going to change from the American standpoint. They're going to change from the Japanese standpoint. They can't change from the American standpoint without an opening the collective bargaining agreement, is my understanding. So if they change a little bit, maybe they don't change that much. Some of the money, let's say half the money for Tanaka counts, some and half of it doesn't. They're ready to go on Tanaka, which means the 189 goes out the window.
The only way, from what I've been told, that they're going to be able to do everything they want to do and remain under the 189 luxury tax threshold is if A-Rod is suspended for the entire season.
Why was that important to the Yankees the whole time? You wonder why, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that wipes $27.5 million off their books, and that likely allows them to sign Cano, sign Kuroda, sign Tanaka, sign a reliever or two, not a big closer, but, a setup man, a lefty, and be able to stay under that money. They had a lot of money come off the payroll last year, which helped them in their initial goal. You look at Pettit, Rivera, Granderson, Cano, Youkilis was $12 million wasted. There's a lot of money that came off that payroll last year. So they were working from a number of strengths in terms of where they started, but, they've spent $250 million already on McCann and Ellsbury, and you still want to get Cano signed, and Kuroda's going to take 15, and Tanaka's going to take, 6 for 65 or something like that. It's going to add up quickly. So I think the only way that they're able to stay under is if A-Rod's salary doesn't count. But here's the other thing, Mike. They don't have to do that if they don't get under the 189 this year, it doesn't mean the whole plan's blown to hell. They could do it next year.
Yeah, but it's going to be hard with the new deals to get under it next year, probably.
It will be. You'll have other guys coming off the books, though, at some point. Guys, these contracts, they have a few of these guys long term.
But they could do it in the future, is your point.